I asked FS to send over this IP camera so we can check it out. I don't have a lot of experience with any other brands, so this particular one is what stood out to me the most. And yeah, we're going to take a look at it and see what it's capable of. But before we do, a word from our sponsor. Exter. Use those holiday gift cards on a wallet designed to be minimalistic, compact, and provide protection from RFID wireless theft. Their wallets are environmentally friendly and fabricated with high-quality materials like space-grade aluminum, Italian leather, carbon fiber, and vegan leather. Don't forget to pick up a solar-powered tracking device to find your lost wallet with a smartphone. Use the link or offer code in the description to save during the New Year sale through January 24th, 2023. As mentioned, this camera is from FS, but I believe it's actually a rebranded Hikvision camera. I wasn't really able to confirm that. I did poke around on the web quite a lot, but wasn't able to find who the actual manufacturer of it was. But that's not too big of a deal. Before we get into any actual specifics about this camera, which is an IPC-304-8M, let's do a quick unboxing to see what you can get when you buy it, or if you were to buy it. Or both. So in here it appears to be a manual along with, I think this is some mounting hardware. Oh, I don't know what that is. There it is. Some mounting hardware, yep. So everything you should need to install the camera. This is a template, so you know where to drill the holes. That's pretty cool. I almost didn't even recognize what that was at first. And then of course we have the camera itself. We'll set that aside for now. And here is, looks like an O-ring, so this must be to help keep water and other debris out of the actual camera itself. And that's all that's in the box. Okay, so here's the camera itself. It's surprisingly heavy. It feels maybe about like a pound and a half. And then of course here on the other end that's coming out of the back, we have power over Ethernet. I believe this one is our alarm. Yep, this is our alarm connector. This one should be audio, and this is to connect it to a traditional 12-volt DC. Now, it doesn't come with a 12-volt power adapter, so we will be having to use power over Ethernet. And this camera is 802.3AF compliant, so keep that in mind. If you don't have a PoE switch, you will need an injector that can do 802.3AF. It's a pretty interesting and nice design. I haven't seen this one before anywhere. I think it looks pretty cool. All right, let's get this thing broken down and see what's all about. To start taking this apart, I'm just going to go ahead and remove this top cover here, just so we can get out of the way. This is just a standard Phillips screw, and this is plastic, nothing fancy, not a piece of metal or nothing. Revealing the top here, nothing to it, just a flat surface. All right, so let's see on the underside here. This would give us access to the internals of the camera without having to remove the front cover. I think I might be able to use this to get it off. Nope. All right, so we should be able to open this up now. Okay, those screws don't appear to come all the way out. Okay, yeah, these screws stay in here, so that's cool. It's nice to see. You don't have to worry about losing these. So there's a rubber seal here. So when you open this up, you obviously don't want to do it in a humid climate or in a humid environment, or else you risk fogging up all of this area here, preventing the camera from being able to see. All right, taking a closer look on the inside, there doesn't appear to be much in here to interact with or see. It's probably hard to read here, but this actually says reset. This doesn't appear to be a button. This looks like where a button would go if you wanted to reset the camera, but I don't think you have that ability with opening this access. And then of course we can somewhat easily see all the mechanical parts in here. Let's go and get this removed so that way we can hopefully get the whole thing apart. All right, these 4 screws here are a TR10. That is what I'm using to remove these. Okay, so these screws are pretty long. No sort of rubber sealant or anything around them. Probably not an issue. And the front lens here, or I'm sorry, the IR infrared sensors or lights, whatever you want to call them, plugged in right here. Pretty tight connection. I'm not going to unplug these because that's more work than I want to do. I just don't want to remove the entire lens compartment in here. So I'm just going to set this down for now. All right, internally there looks like there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that need to be removed so we can remove everything from the inside. So just going to go around here. Oops. Go around here and get all of these removed. It's not really an easy way to show this, so I'm just going to skip ahead until it's get ready to remove. All right, last screw. All of them are magnetic, which is nice to see. All right, this thing is pretty much loose and free to move about, so I'm just grabbing with my thumb on the inside on this bracket, index finger up here. Just slowly pull this out. There is no reset button there, so no way to actually reset this. Oh, okay. So it looks like this is where your SD card would actually go as well. So if you had one and you want internal storage, you could definitely reach down in there and add the SD card. So that does that. Looks like some anti-static beads here, or maybe water absorbent beads. Not entirely sure what this does. Yeah, I'd have to take this entire thing apart. I really don't want to do that. I don't really want to disturb it because, well, I still need to use this camera and make sure it works. So this is probably about as good as a view as you're going to get. Alright, rest of the chassis, it's empty in there. I know the camera's not focusing, but it's empty in there, nothing to see. So just to ramble off some specs of the camera while I reassemble it. It is a 8 megapixel camera, does 4K up to 30 hertz, I believe. It's got a motorized varifocal lens, which my understanding is really good for cameras or IP cameras. It is got a 1.2 to 12 millimeter lens. It also has a infrared range of up to 50 meters, I believe, which is pretty good. We'll check it out here in a moment to see how that actually proves with identifying things at different distances, if I can ever get this reassembled. You can use this camera in standalone mode, like basically, you know, with like Blue Iris or some other software. I think for my testing, I'm just going to pull up a VLC stream using RTSP. Just so we can view it and stuff. All right, one downside to this, or the screws on the housing, is that it seems pretty easy to actually damage the screws, so you're definitely gonna wanna make sure you use the right screw sizes. I just switched to a Phillips 1, and hopefully, oh, I am stripping it slowly but surely. Here's the screw I damaged with taking it apart once. Admittedly, I probably wasn't using the right Phillips head the first time, but still though, that's done. I will probably never be able to open this again without causing serious damage to get a tight seal on there. So we will not be opening this camera ever again. And as you can see on the second screw, it's already begun to warp due to damage. So my bad there, but I think the screws on the front, at least with this T10, that's good to go. I don't think those are damaged at all. I took those down pretty well. And I think that's where the most of the water is going to go. Again, you know, really any water is going to run off the top here and just run immediately off the side. I don't think water is going to be able to actually get up underneath and inside. But we could have humidity build up in there, which is a little concerning. So hopefully that seal holds. If not, I'll just put some electrical tape over that, and hopefully that'll be good enough. Didn't expect to damage that already, so good job me. I'm just gonna wipe this off a little bit. It looks like I touched or grazed the interior lens just a little bit. So I'm gonna take this thing apart again real quick, just to make sure I can clean that off so we're not getting any of my dirty hands in the way. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the smell. It smells like that fresh electronic smell that you would get straight out of the factory. All right, that should be more than good enough. All right, let's get it assembled one last time, and then we can actually test it out and see what we can expect. This thing's taking a little bit of damage just from my desk, so it's a little scratched up, nothing terrible. Honestly, probably doesn't matter. It's not supposed to. It's an indoor-outdoor camera, so realistically, like, okay, yeah, there's a little damage. Is that a big deal? No. But this thing is not going to be that robust, apparently. I'm just marking it all up just by touching it. I guess my hands are not as clean as I thought. But we're going to stick it outside, so it's going to get dirty anyway. But I just want to let you know that it's going to get damaged pretty easily already. I mean, I've damaged it already, and I feel like I've taken pretty decent care of it, despite a little fumble there. But okay, let's get this thing configured, and I'm gonna blaze through. I'm gonna blaze it. I'm gonna blaze through the configuration of this thing. I can do a standalone video setting this up later, but for now, I'm just gonna get it operational so we can check it out. And that's really it. I don't want to get too much into the software side for this video. I want to just focus more on the hardware itself. All right, so we just got done collecting a bunch of video from the camera itself using an RTSP stream, and I captured all that. Now, the footage I'm going to show you is not supposed to be all-inclusive, perfect settings for all situations, nothing like that. I want to show you guys some of the video that we got just to give you an idea of kind of what to expect from this particular camera. Again, this isn't a review, so we're not going to go into incredible detail with everything. First up, we're doing 4K at 20 frames. That's the default setting. You can't change the frame rate to anything higher than 20. I changed the bitrate to 15,000 and left everything else default. And you can tell immediately that the image quality is pretty good from this stream. Now, where things start to get a little funky is with movement, because it's only 20 frames, and also it's a little difficult to actually see the license plate that I'm carrying around in my hands. Now, there are some moments where we can capture the letters and numbers when I'm like basically still, but as I'm moving around, it's extremely hard to pick those out. Now, I'm sure if we paused and got it at certain frames, we would definitely be able to see that license plate no problem. But as I'm moving around, it's pretty difficult to actually see, especially at further away distances. So let's see if we can kind of capture a frame here. I don't think we can unless I'm super close to the camera, and that's just unfortunate. But anyway, so this is what it basically looks like at 4K during the day. It is actually very cloudy outside because the weather is about to get really bad. It's probably going to freeze tonight or snow. But nonetheless, now let's go ahead and move over to 1080p, 30 frames. And I think 1080p is about perfect. So for 1080p, it's pretty much the same settings as 4K that we just looked at. The bitrate's still 15,000. The big difference here is that we're at 30 FPS and 1080p. And the image quality is also really good, I would say. My face is easy to see. License plate is very easy to read, especially as I back up. And as I get further and further away, as long as the license plate is facing the camera, even at a pretty great distance, I would say that's very easy to see. Now, where things get a little tricky is where I'm moving around far away. But even so, even being far away, I think if push came to shove, despite the images not being incredibly pixelated, we'd very easily be able to pick out those letters, especially if we find the right frame and freeze at it just right. So 1080p, I think, is honestly the way to go, even at nighttime. 4K on this does look good. You do get more resolution, I suppose. But I would simply turn it down in 1080p, get those 30 frames. And there is an option to move to 2560 by 1440, but I don't think I'd use that mode either. I would just go straight to 1080p. All right, next up we have some night shots in different situations. We have, the first one is going to be 1080p, and we have a setting enabled here that is called global mode. And global mode, I don't really know what it does, but I have smart illumination set to on. You know, obviously we're going to be using infrared, and the control mode's global mode. I don't really know what that means, but I assume the camera can kind of like pick and choose what kind of illumination levels it wants to do. Now, honestly, I feel like a lot of what you'll see is just blurred out and hard to see. The license plate is impossible to see in this mode, no matter what distance I stand in as I kind of skip around here. My face, you know, you can kind of pick out some details of my face, but again, you know, it's not really until I get close to the camera that's really easy to see like my face, and the image isn't completely washed out. But yeah, so it looks fine, I would say. You can definitely see what's going on in the dark, and this thing's got some serious range to it too. So this pointed mostly at the ground here. So next up is the 1080p again, but I have no overexposure turned on, or limit, what's it called? Overexposure restrain. And so what this seems to do is actually make anything in the actual video much easier to see. There's not like a lot of like whitewashing or over infrared, I suppose, and you can kind of see the light change. The license plate, still impossible to read. No way you're going to read that with infrared. I'd say as far as like image quality goes, you can still see my face pretty well when I'm near the camera, and you can pick out a lot of details about my clothes. You can even almost see each individual toe there pretty well, depending on how close I am to the camera. So I would say it's a pretty good shot. Only complaints, of course, is seeing that license plate, impossible. And it's pretty much the same story over on 4K at 20 frames. So I'll just skip ahead. The only settings we've changed here are basically whether it's 4K or 1080p. So in this one that we're looking at, this is global mode as well. And again, license plate, impossible to see. Still able to make out really good details of what's going on in the image, especially as I get extremely close to the camera. So obviously, you know, you want a camera close to like a window or a door or something, somewhere where someone would reasonably walk nearby or up to, watching the driveway or something like that. Overall, you know, I'm not entirely impressed with the infrared, but I don't know how you would combat really reflective license plates like that. So the next one is also 4K. This is with the exposure mode set to, what is it called? Oh, overexposure restrained mode. And again, image quality, still really good. No complaints there. You can tell the image is a little bit darker, especially on the sides, but it's still very easy to make out people or objects walking around in the background, especially if they have anything reflective like that license plate. Even with this mode enabled, the license plate is almost impossible to make out. Unless you're at a far distance, you can see that there is some like letters or numbers, but I don't think that's legible. I don't think you'd actually be able to reasonably read that at that distance. And of course, as I get closer, the image becomes, or the license plate is too bright to actually be able to see. So that's pretty much it. Now, of course, we could go into a lot more detail about the camera settings, but I think that would make this particular video pretty long, and I don't want to go into those details just yet. And again, this isn't a review. But the camera itself, I think it's pretty good. I think I have to take a much closer look at how Ubiquiti performs under the same conditions, because I haven't tested Ubiquiti cameras quite like I've tested this camera from FS. Typically with Ubiquiti, I just really want to know about, you know, is there someone in the backyard, and get notifications, or not in the backyard, but anywhere around the house, get notifications about any movement and record things. I'm not, you know, the cameras are really there as a deterrent. I don't really actually think I'll capture anything, especially at night, that would be valuable to police per se. But the cameras overall, at least with the Ubiquiti ones, have come in handy several times. You know, during the day, we've managed to catch people who have broken into a client's house We got their face, plain as day, and we were able to turn that into police, and they were able to actually find the person based off of the thumbnail that we sent and the video footage that we sent. And I've caught some car accidents on my cameras as well, proving that in fact that a truck that had driven by had hit a neighbor's car, despite them denying it. So the cameras are definitely worthwhile overall, because you never know what you're going to get. But I think I'd have to take a much closer look at those and see how they perform against this FS camera to see, hey, is that license plate reflective? And I could do that for this video, but again, that's not the point of this video. I'm not going to do comparisons and stuff like that. There are other channels out there that do a great job of covering all sorts of cameras that you can buy on the market. I may do some comparison shots in the future between this camera and my Ubiquiti cameras, and then we can slowly add more and more cameras to that in the future, but that will be a different video for sure. So I don't know if there's anything else to show you guys with this FS camera. I like it. I think it's good. I don't know. I don't think I would buy it for home use. And then we haven't even looked at integrating this with an NVR. So that will be a whole nother thing too. Again, I don't want to put everything on video. So there'll be more to come about this and an NVR and probably some comparison shots in the future as well. So make sure you guys stick around if you want to see those. If not, then so be it. Sorry. And with all that being said, I want to thank UFS for sending over this camera so I could check it out and see what it's all about. Didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it happens sometimes. And of course, I want to thank each and every single one of you guys for watching my videos and helping this channel grow and branch out and do more things. So yeah, thank you. Peace.